Hello, everyone. I am Chandra, a six-figure business owner with more than 20 years of experience. I'd like to welcome you to the Walking and Winning community, a space where we share knowledge with each other to help believers in business start or scale purpose-driven businesses. I'm currently in the process of rebuilding my own business, this time guided by the Holy Spirit. And so I started this series called Rebuilding the Wall because I want to share with you my rebuilding journey. So the series was inspired by the book of Nehemiah. And today I want to share with you the golden nuggets that were revealed to me from Nehemiah's rebuilding process. So let's go. So before Nehemiah became a rebuilder, he was a cupbearer to the king of Persia. So he had access, but no authority. He had influence, but no title. When Nehemiah heard that the walls of Jerusalem, which was his hometown, were in ruins, his heart was broken. But he didn't post about it. He didn't panic. The first thing he did was he prayed. And I have learned for myself that that is where rebuilding starts, not with strategy, but with surrender. Not with hustle, but with hearing God. So if you're like me and the Holy Spirit told you to rebuild your business, or you're feeling like your business or your life is in ruins, you're not alone. Let's walk through Nehemiah's story and the five divine gifts God gave him to rebuild. My belief is that if God did it for Nehemiah, he's going to do it for us. So in chapter 1 of the story, Nehemiah heard the report. The wall was broken, the people were vulnerable, but he didn't leap into action just yet. The first thing he did was he wept, he fasted, and he prayed. And this should be our first step too. I realized that we have to stop asking people what to do next and start asking God. We need true direction and not just the opinions of others. So the first gift Nehemiah had was prayer. For me, if God's not in it, I don't want it. So the story goes on, but months passed before Nehemiah made any move. He waited until God opened the door. So this is another lesson. We should wait on God's timing. Nehemiah was visibly shaken, and then suddenly the king asked what was on his heart. I love a suddenly moment because just when we think we're at the point of no return or we want to throw in the towel, God will swoop in and turn our situation around. So, right now, my feeling is that we are in a turnaround season. So, the king asked Nehemiah what was wrong, but he was afraid to respond. He did not want to say the wrong thing. So, on the spot, Nehemiah prayed again. And then he shared his vision with the king. And this reminded me that when fear tries to creep in, we have to answer with prayer. Nehemiah prayed and then made his request known to the king. The king did not hesitate to give Nehemiah everything he would need to get started. God had given Nehemiah favor. He not only gave him supplies, but he also gave him letters of protection for his journey and the permission to leave Persia to go to Jerusalem. And so, what also stands out for me is that Nehemiah didn't force it, he was sent. God gave Nehemiah in this chapter two more gifts: the gift of peace, because he had those letters to protect him along the way, and the gift of provision. He knew that he had all of the supplies that he needed. So when God gives the vision, he will send provision and he funds what he favors. So now Nehemiah arrives in Jerusalem, but he didn't announce a grand plan. Nehemiah walked the walls of Jerusalem in secret and assessed what was broken. So, this is another lesson. Sometimes we need to move in silence, assess the lay of the land, lay a solid foundation for what we're building before we go and have a grand opening. And why? Because sometimes people, including our family, does not want to see us prosper or see God take us to another level. Later in Nehemiah's story, we learn that as soon as word got out that he was rebuilding, his enemies came out of the woodworks. Even though we know that God is always protecting us to be able to fulfill his mission, sometimes building in silence is necessary. For me, I've not told a soul that I'm back on YouTube, that I'm rebuilding, because this is not about numbers for me. It's about truly building a community of individuals who want to be here, my people. So if you happened upon this video and you're still watching, I think that means this was meant for you. And I thank you for being here. And I hope you stick around with me for the entire journey. So, anyway, back on subject. After Nehemiah made his assessments and figured out what needed to be done, then he gathered the people, he cast vision, and he gave each family their section of the wall to rebuild. So we see in the story that there was unity, there was strategy, and there was purpose. But most of all, God was in the midst of it. He was with them. And as I'm rebuilding my business, I am feeling the same thing. I'm not building alone. God's presence has showed up in every decision I've made so far, and I know that He promises never to leave me or forsake me. So you see, in this part of the story, it shows us that God gave Nehemiah the gifts of His presence and His protection. When God sends us to rebuild, He will surround us while we build whatever it is that He has told us to do. The Holy Spirit led me to this story, and this isn't just Nehemiah's story, it's mine too. There was a time in my life when everything, including my business, felt broken. Systems failed, opportunities dried up, and I was just tired. But last year, God whispered to me, it's time to rebuild, but with me at the center this time. So I've surrendered, I've prayed, and I'm now aligned with Him. And I feel like just like Nehemiah, God began to send the right people to me, the right resources, and things are now happening in the right timing. This season isn't about grinding. This is all about grace. So I want to ask you something. What part of your business or your life needs rebuilding? What if you gave that broken wall to God before you touched another brick? This is our season to rebuild with prayer, with peace, with His presence, His protection, and His provision. I hope this message has blessed you today, and if it has, I want you to comment rebuild below. Share this with a friend and follow along for the next episode. I'm going to share in that episode how I am assessing, with God's help, what I should be doing. Basically, building my business blueprint. Our wall is going back up, brick by brick, and God is the master builder. I thank you so much for watching today. And if you have not done so already, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you will know when I post more content. I pray God's richest blessings over your life and your business and everyone connected to you. I love you. Take care and see you next time.